Thank you for your
Okay.
patience.
I don't have a problem with what went on at the last meeting, the committee of the whole. I thought it was good. I researched this thing because I smelled something bad. And what I see is that the auction process, I didn't think that was a fair way to do it. So I researched Tyler and I went and read the whole damn thing. And I'll tell you right now, I found out that there's three processes that you can use to value property. One is the auction. That's the easiest one to do. And the one that pays the least amount of money usually to the people. Then there's the appraisal process and the equity lien process. So there's three ways we can legally do this under Tyler. Now, you've got to look at it as a person that's losing your house. You'd want to get paid fair market value for your house, to your equity. So if the county administers it, that's what would happen. So what you stated is correct. The county would administer it. But we would go out with a certified appraiser company and get it appraised. Then it goes up for sale, just like any other house would go up for sale. And then it gets sold. And it'll get sold at fair market value. So now if it doesn't sell in the first 3 months, then we lower the value by 10%. The appraiser was off. And then we keep lowering it till it's sold. The second it's sold, it's over with. Then the buyer gets a clean deed, not from the county, but from the actual owner. And the owner turns around and gets all of his equity. So the appraisal value way of doing it is the best. Then what I thought about was I wrote something and I put it on everybody's desk. You know, you could see what my opinion was of a solution. But I think it's totally wrong to use the auction value because these companies that come in and buy it are they're going to resell it. That's why they're buying it. So they're buying it at a low end. So we want to make sure that the proper equity goes to the homeowner. And the only way to do that is through using market value through an appraiser. So whether it be the county appraiser, that's probably not good because like you told me earlier, then it looks like we're prejudiced. So we would get an outside appraiser, but the system would work really well. There'd be no liability for the county. The county don't have to come up with any money and it would be a clean sale. So yeah, it's a little bit more difficult than the auction process, but you got to think of the taxpayer that's losing their house, and it could happen to anybody in this room. You could have a medical problem that bankrupts you. You could have something happen where you got hacked and you lost all your money. There's so many different things that could happen that this affects everybody. So it's not just people that are short money now. It could be somebody in this room in the future. So I look at it like this. Why can't we use the appraisal process instead of using the auction process? And I know I caught you off guard because I sent you an email to the wrong email, I guess. But I called you on the phone and told you, and you told me, yeah, you can use the appraisal process. So that's what I'm asking to go forward with, that we use the appraisal process to value these properties so that the buyer can make money or move into a house free and clear. And there's no problem. And the owner that sells it gets all of their equity, all of it. And I think that's the most important feature of the appraisal process.
The only issue that I see is if the professional appraiser comes in and sets an appraisal and then nobody buys it. So then the person that lost their home gets zero equity, right? Because it's
No.
appraised too high.
No,
No?
that isn't how we make the policy. So we say 3 months. If it doesn't sell in 3 months, that means the professional appraiser didn't appraise it right. So we lower the price 10%.
Okay.
And then if it don't appraise for 3 more months, we lower it another 10%.
All right.
But I doubt if the appraiser would be that far off.
So, and we did have a discussion and see the discussion, we're kind of talking about what the measure of damage is. is when somebody loses their house at a tax sale. So the question is how do we measure how much equity a person lost? Now, we don't really have any discretion over how this property gets administered because the property tax code tells us how we're going to do it. And the property tax code says auction. These things are to be auctioned within 120 days after the redemption period expires. There is no, we're not allowed to become the real estate agent. I read your proposal. The problem is that, you know, if we hire an appraiser, it says one thing, then the former homeowner is going to go out and hire another appraiser and they're going to top what we did. And then there's going to be a contest of what the equity was. And then the question becomes, appraisals can be very subjective because the condition of the core contents in the house, the water heater, how old's the roof, you know, this and that. Then, you know, you're going to spend a lot of time arguing over what should or shouldn't be the price of the property, where the auction, which is what the market is for this property, which is now the procedure set forth in the property tax code. I don't think there's really any discretion in terms of how the county can dispose of these properties. If, in fact, the county trustee, there's a very strict notice and sale provision provided in the tax code of how these properties are supposed to be done. And I appreciate the proposal you put out because we did talk about, how do we measure the loss of the equity? If the county board decided that, well, if the auction, we can, if there's an appraisal, we can go above the auction price, we'll pay more. That's like I told you on the phone, I suppose if the county wanted to pay more money, that can be a policy position of the board. But that's, we're talking about taxpayer money there, and to get into a situation where the appraisals and they're battling, it seems very subjective to me.
Scott, I don't want to interrupt you, but there will be none because we create the policy, and in our policy will state that the sale is going to be handled by the county and that there's no appraisals accepted by the buyer, and that whatever the county appraiser comes up with, that's the answer, period. Now, they can't do that. And then the other thing is if someone does it this auction way, right, and they get really aggravated because they think they're getting screwed, what's to prevent them to go to court? And because the federal government's going to trump the state, if you go to court, would you want to go to court and battle what the Supreme Court of the United States said? Because Illinois court said, no, we're going to go with you guys. They're going to lose. So the whole idea is that we should be following Tyler all the way. And we should also have to consider the importance of making sure the equity goes to the people that are losing their house. They're already in trouble. They're losing their house. Why should we make it so they get less money? And the county makes it easier to do by an auction. To me, that's immoral. And I don't want to see that happen. So that's why I'm pointing this out, that if we do the appraisal process, yes, there's going to be things we have to put in our policy, and we're going to have to follow the policy. But you know what? That's not that hard. Like I just said, you said a whole bunch of stuff about double appraisers and all this other stuff. We just make it in our policy that it's not accepted. The county gets an appraiser and that's it. It's all over with. So there's going to be other stuff that comes up, and that's got to be entered into our policy. And we can change our policy going forward if we find something wrong or something would work better. So I think that we should just really analyze the valuation and use something with the appraisal process, which goes along 100% with Tyler. And, if anything that happens, people are going to sue all the time. But if we're following Tyler, we're not going to lose.
So what I understand is you are not in favor of this policy that's brought forward by the state's attorney, and you would like to go a different direction in the sale, correct?
I'm a part of it. The part that, you know, when they're asking for the $20 for the stuff that happened in the past, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
When the part that says that they would like to be the administrator, well, the county's going to have to administrate this stuff.
You just don't like the auction
No.
style, you like
I'm
the
saying-
appraisal,
I'm saying that
correct?
our policy should be that we use the appraisal
Understood.
process
Yep.
instead of the auction process, which screws the people that lost their house.
Point
And-
taken, Steve. Yeah, we get
And I
it.
think that's important for everyone in this room to realize.
Mr. Brophy, could you make a few points and then briefly describe how the tax sale is
Sure.
taking place, please?
So first of all, let's define equity. How much equity is in your home today, Steve? You don't know. The equity in a home is what someone will pay for it minus what you owe. And what you owe, whether you're sick or it's been stolen or you're just didn't want to pay your taxes, what you owe is a clear number. Those taxes that haven't been paid is what you owe. So what someone will pay for your home minus what you owe today is equity.
Correct.
Okay? The best way to find out then what someone will pay for the home is to make it publicly available to buyers. And the reason why we're suggesting the route we are is that you want to do it as quickly as possible. Your as trustee, your tax agent, Joseph E. Meyer, will do that quickly because it behooves you and the prior homeowner. If you go the taxpayer route, they're going to try to draw things out because they're earning 18% a year. And the longer this thing goes, the more interest they make. Because no matter what, taxes and interest are paid first when that house is eventually sold. So let's be clear. Equity is not a fixed figure. There's nothing out there that says you're entitled to this much. Kelly, when you sell your home, it's what a buyer will pay minus what you owe. Everybody is treated the same. What the flaw in your argument, Mr. Balich, is that what one individual's opinion of that house doesn't matter. You're going to take more time, which costs the original homeowner, and who's going to pay for the appraisal? The original homeowner. It's going to be added to the amount he owes.
You're correct.
So now you're costing your homeowner that you're worried about more money in an appraisal fee and in interest in more time.
You're
That's the
correct.
flaw with your
You're
argument.
correct, except
Now-
there's one thing different. When I'm saying that you put it at fair market value,
Whose opinion of fair market
And-
value?
the appraiser that would
You-
appraise it, and if we want, we can have three.
That appraisal
we
does
could
not
have
set
three-
fair market
we could
value.
have- We could have three, they look at, an appraiser looks at the price that the houses in that neighborhood.
I
are
understand
selling.
what an appraisal
And
does. I
then-
think everybody here does too.
We could even say, all right, it's going to be 5% less than.
Fair
than
market
what
value
price says. We
is-
could make a policy that says it's 5% less. We could do whatever we want.
Yes,
But the
and it
idea
still
is-
won't
Okay,
The
influence
idea
what
all
the
right.
is
buyer
get
will
the
pay.
very most money you can for the individual
Folks,
that's losing their.
That's a nice goal.
This is,
It's not
excuse
gonna
me,
put an
excuse me, this is not a debate. Let's,
Okay.
please.
So now your options are with the new Illinois law, which is statute. We can't go back to the old way. You have two options. Do you want the county tax agent to auction these houses for you? Or do you want to let individual independent tax buyers do it? That's the question. What we propose saves you money and it saves the original homeowner money. It may return to them more equity.
I'm not talking about individual taxpayers. I'm saying the county would be the one responsible to put it up. For
That's
sale.
our proposal.
Yeah,
That's
but
the only thing
using
questioned
the
today.
Fair market value, not the
Steve-
auction value.
All right, do you have anything else to add, Mr.
Fair
Brophy?
market value is set by a sale, what a buyer will pay. That's what fair market value is.
All right, I see no other lights. We're going to take this to a vote. Resolution 20